What's up my friends, welcome back. So here I have a fully 3D printable RC plane. This has a wingspan of more than 1 meter. For me this is a very huge plane because this is the biggest one that I've designed till now. I've made the design for around 5 or 6 months. There was a lot of work because I'm not a professional 3D editor, and I think I had pretty good results. It's not ready yet because I'm still missing some parts, the rods for controlling the elevator and the rudder, but for now we can control the ailerons and also the 2 brushless motors. We don't have the propellers because inside is very dangerous to have those. And I can't test it because, as you all know, like right now we are under coronavirus lockdown, so I can't go outside, and also I should maybe rent a car and go very far from Barcelona because here in Barcelona it's impossible to test this plane, this huge plane. If you want to make it, you'll find links below for the 3D printable parts on my shop. And all the parts that I'm using, the servo motors, the brushless motors, the receiver and the connections, you will find the schematic. And I will also explain in a post below on electrons.com how I've edited each part to weight very few grams, to have only 2 perimeters or 1 perimeter and a very strong structure. As you can see, this is a very strong plane. So in this video I'll explain how I've made it, how I've edited the part. This might be a very long video because I will record all the process because this is the first time that I'm doing this, and I hope that I won't screw it up. Okay, so let's go with the video. This episode is sponsored by the PCB manufacturer company GLC PCB. Their main services are the 2-layer PCBs for only $2. Also 4 and 6-layer PCBs, the SMT assembly process where you will get the PCBs with all the components already soldered in place, and also the SMT stencil for soldering SMT components with solder paste. The quality of the PCBs is amazing. I use their services all the time and always get good results. For only $2, you have 5 PCBs of any color that you want. So go to glcpcb.com, upload the Gerber files of your design, and order the PCBs in just a couple of minutes. What's up my friends, welcome back. So as you can see, we have here a bunch of parts. I don't even know the real number. I think these are more than 30 parts, and that's not including the landing gear because I don't have it right now, but I will print it later. So we'll go with the entire process. First I will show you all the parts that we have, each part and how I've designed it. We'll go to the PC and show you the process of making the holes, adding the structure to make it very light and very strong, also making only 2 perimeters, and I will show you two different ways to print this using to slice this part in order to weight even less. Then we'll weight all the parts and I will show you that the grams of each part, and finally we'll start mounting the plane. I will also show you the parts that you need, such as these carbon fiber rods. These are very lightweight but also very strong. I'm also planning to use some of these barbecue wood sticks. These are also light but strong to add the structure of the wing. As you can see here, I have this mounted, but these are not glued together. I'll show you the parts that I will use for sticking the parts together, the super glue and the activator. We'll also need some plastic hinges for the controls, such as the ailerons, as you can see here. And finally, I will show you also the electronics, the motor, how to connect it to the receiver, find the balance of the plane, the center of gravity. But unfortunately, once we glue everything together, as you can see, I have some parts here that are prepared. Once we glue everything together, I won't be able to go to test it because right now here in Spain we are under lockdown for the coronavirus, and I'm not sure when I will be able to do that. Also, I'm living in the center of Barcelona, and this will be quite huge, more than 1 meter for the wingspan. So for that I will have to go outside. I will have to rent a car because I don't own a car right now, and go very far from the city and test it. But maybe I will have some luck and I can go to my father's house and test the plane there, but I'm not sure, and I'm not even sure if this will go okay because this is the first time that I will glue this together. So if I screw it up, I'll have to print the parts once again, or maybe just one part. So I hope that everything will go okay. Okay, so let's start with the process. Hey guys, let's take a look at the design here on the PC. I'm working in Blender. As you can see here, we have all the parts for the plane, and for example I have here prepared for you one part from the left wing. Okay, so we started with something like this. Once I have the entire part of the wing, I've cut it into smaller parts, and this is just a filled part. This is just this filled 100%. So in order to make it weight less, what I've done was to make a hole in it, as you can see here, And then the next step was to make sure that this hole will make a wall of only 0.8 millimeters. And why 0.8 millimeters? Well, that's because I'm using a 0.4 millimeters nozzle for my 3D printer, and in that way 2 perimeters will equal to 0.8. So if we have a wall of below 0.8 millimeters, I will make sure that this will have only 2 perimeters. And I've tried with 1 perimeters, but that was a mess because it was too weak, and sometimes we have small holes in the wing, so I've decided to go with 2 perimeters, even if it would make the part weight a little bit more. Anyway, this is the final shape of the perimeters of the wing. And then I've added this part here in order to make sure that we can glue this with the next part of the wing. And also I've made some holes for the rods and the hole for the cable from the servo. But on the other side, as you can see, we don't have that. So in the next step, I've added some support. This one here is the same as this one here, but the bottom one I've cut it into half in order for you to see what I've added. First of all, on the other side we also have this part here in order to glue it with the body of the plane. We have the same hole for the cable, but now I've also added the support inside with these tubes for the rods and also this cross as a support. So in this way it will handle more force from above and below. And in the next part, which will be the final part, I've also added some support in the middle so we can handle the force in the middle of the wing. And also this will carry the wire from here to the other side of the wing, so it will be like a tunnel for the cable. So together with this support and this could handle a lot of weight, even if it has only 2 perimeters for each support and 2 perimeters all around. Actually, when I was designing this part, I had even more parts for the wing because I had to add a lot of more structures, even print the part and then make a little bit of changes. So as you can see, there is a lot of work for me in order to design just one part, because as I told you, I'm not a professional 3D editor, so I had to make sure that everything is okay. And as you can see here, we have a lot of parts and each part has a support inside. Let's just see this one. As you can see, we have this support, we have the tube for the rod. All this is just 2 perimeters. The same goes for the motor mount. We have this here this is a little bit thicker in order to add a brushless motor, but inside we have some support. We have the tubes for the wood sticks. Okay, let's get back with our design. Okay, so let's just first start and seeing all the parts that we need. So let's start with the wings. So for the main part of the wing, we need 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 main parts, and we also need one more that will be here below, but till I don't design the plates for the servos, I won't design that part yet. We also have this motor mount, so this is a 2 motor plane, so the motor will go here. We screw the motor in place here, and this will be the ring that will cover. So the motor will look nicer because it will be inside here, so 2 more parts for that. And we also need the control, which is this aileron here, that using the plastic hinges it will move around. We have a place below for the servo. This is the servo where the servo will go. And as you can see, we have a main rod that will go till the tip of the wing. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 parts for the main wing and 9 parts with the one below. So we have 2 wings, so that will be 18 parts for the wings. Now let's go to the next part of the plane. By the way guys, before we go and see the next parts, I would like to say that these are not glued together yet. These are just supported by the carbon fiber rod that is inside of the wing. And I want to say that I don't even know the final weight of the plane, because as you can see, I've used different kind of materials. Basically these are all PLA material, but I've used a green one, a red one, brown one, so I'm not sure how much filament I've used for the entire plane. But don't worry, once we see all the parts, I'll weigh each one separately and I will tell you the total weight of the plane for only the 3D printed parts, and in that way you will know how much filament you need for this plane. So let's go and see the rest of the parts. Okay, so these are the next parts, these 3 here, and this will be the middle part of the plane, and this is where the battery will go, and from here we'll have also the radio receiver in place. So through these holes we'll go to the tail and to the wings with the servos for the controls, and using the battery, the middle place of the battery, we can control the center of gravity, because as you can see, this is the nose part. This will be quite big, so we have some space to move the battery in order to change the center of gravity of the plane. And then we have the top of the cabin. This will be the cabin for the pilot, let's say name it like that. And maybe I'll add some magnets here, and it will click in place like this. Very nice, so it's very easy to take it out, look at the battery or the receiver, change something, and then put it back on. And that's it. This is the middle part of the plane. Let's go to the next parts. Okay, so finally these are all the tail parts, but as you can see we have the middle tail part with these 2 here. And probably with here I'll place the servos together with the wing part, and each part here will have some outputs, so we can place a very fine metal rod that will go to the controls of the tail. And for the tail, we have one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 parts for the main tail. And then we have the elevator and 2 rudders here for the controls. So that's pretty much all we have for the tail. These are not good together, are just joined together with the wood stick. So remember, we place the servos here in this part, and then with the metal rods through these holes, very small holes here, we get here, and here we can control the rudder and also the elevator. So these are all the parts that we need for the plane. So let's see the next part. Okay, so here we have all the parts, and if I counted right, these are 35 parts without including the landing gear parts with the wheels and all we need for that, because I haven't designed that yet. So now let's go and check the weight of each part without including the battery, the rods, only for the 3D printed parts, in order to know the total weight for the filament. So for you to know how much filament you need to print these parts. So let's measure the parts. Okay guys, so I'll use this scale to measure each part, and then I'll fast forward the video in order to show you the weight of each part, and I'll write it down here because I have the design. So let's start with the first one, and I will fast forward the video for you guys. Okay, so that's it. So let me just now make the sum of all these numbers or all these values here and give you the total weight of the 3D printed parts. Okay guys, so I made the sum for all the parts, and as you can see, it's almost 1.5 kilos, 1,472 grams to be more exact. And I think this won't be a problem because of the size of the wings, because as you know, the bigger is the wing, the more area we have for the wing, the more it will be able to lift. So this is a huge plane. I mean, for me it's huge because this is the biggest plane I've ever made. The wingspan is more than 1 meter, so I don't think it will be a problem, because plus the battery and the motors, maybe this will have a little bit more than 2 kilos. And I think that is a pretty good, decent weight for a 3D printed plane. So let's see the next part of the video. Okay guys, so only as a reference, I'll weight this nose part. As you can see, this part is quite big. We have the banana for scale here. So even if this part is quite big, it weighs only 69 grams or 68, and that's quite okay for a part this big. Let's weigh the other one. This one, for example, this is quite strong, but as you can see, this part is empty. We have some structure inside and only one layer, but the rest is empty and it's very, very light. Let's just measure it. Only 29 grams, and this is a pretty big part, as you can see. Okay guys, so now that we know all the parts and we know the weight of each part, we can go to the next part, which is just assemble the 3D printed plane. So for that, you will need some sanding paper in order to smooth the parts and glue them. You will also need the carbon fiber rods or maybe the barbecue wood sticks. I will use both of these, maybe this for the smaller parts and the longer rods for the wing and for the tail. And you will also need some pliers or something to cut this. And the most important part is, of course, the super glue and the activator. And you will need this activator because you will want to go very quick when merging the parts. So once you stick the parts together, you will want to go with that as fast as you can, because otherwise it will stick to your hand, the part will move, and you will make a bad joint. So yes, you will need an activator. Just for a few dollars you can buy this, and it will help you a lot. So let's start, and I think that we will go first with this central part of the plane, which are just these 3 parts. So let's see that. By the way, not any kind of super glue will work with any kind of accelerator. In this case, this is an activator for cyanoacrylic or something like that. I think it's in English, cyanoacrylate, yes. So I bought this super glue, which is compatible with this activator, and I'm not sure, but I don't think that any kind of super glue will work. So I bought a few more of these from eBay in order to make sure that I will have enough for the entire plane. So let's start with these 3 parts. First I will join these 2 parts together. Okay, so let me just explain a little bit about this part, because I think this was the part that most time took me to design, and not just because this is big, but also, as you know, this will be connected to the wing. I have here a wing part, so it will be connected here. So all the weight will be on this side. So this had to be very strong. So the connection with the wing is very strong. So this is not just a normal wall, this is double wall, and also it has a lot of support inside. I will show you the design on my PC and maybe make a zoom here, and as you can see, it has double wall inside, and also we have the holes for the rods from the wings. So in this way we can glue it inside. On the outside we can place glue here, and it will make a very strong connection with the wing. And at the same time I had to think where to place these holes for the rods and the support to support the battery, and the next connection which is the nose. And with these holes we can pass the wires through here, and that will go to the wing through this hole here, and continued with the wire to the other parts and to the controls of the plane. So what I will do now is to just spray some barbecue wood sticks in this hole and these two, and with that we can merge these two parts together. And I won't add this one till the plane is not ready, because here I will place the battery and everything inside. So once we have this middle part, maybe next we'll make the wings. So let's just glue this in place. So as you can see, I have the barbecue wood sticks inserted. So now I will place a little bit of glue here all around, and then join these parts together. Place the activator, and that's it for this middle part. So let's just do that. Okay, so that's it. The middle part of the plane is ready, and it feels quite strong because this structure together with this one makes a very strong bond. Okay, so I think now it will go with the wings. So let's see. Okay guys, so I've already encountered a problem. I was just making some tests with the wing, and I realized that I'm not sure which part I should glue first. And that's because of the rods that are placed with an angle. As you can see, once you merge this together, you can't separate them anymore, because the input here of the rods is bigger than the output, so we can add or take out the parts. So that means that once we have it like this, if I start from here adding parts, we won't be able to add the rest of the wing, because the rods will be closing more and more. At the same time, if I first glue the wing like this, I won't be able to connect it to the main body, because as you can see, the rods will have a bigger output than the input here. So I'm not sure what I will do. Maybe one solution is to glue the rod till here, to this part, and then use a smaller rod just to connect it to this main body. Another solution is to glue these rods like this, and maybe just force it inside once the wing is glued. Force it inside first, the first hole and then the second one, but I'm not sure yet. So not sure how to start and which part to glue first. Okay, so I finally decided that I will go like this. I first place the rods inside. So right now I know that for sure the rod won't come out. So I'll start gluing from here with the rod inside. So I will first add glue here, then here, till I get to the end. And this final part, I will use some smaller barbecue wood sticks like this one and place it here, because this will be able to fit inside without the long rod. So let's just start here, apply some glue and then the activator, keep it like this. And then we go further and further and complete the entire wing, and we'll do the same to the other side. Okay, so I'm not sure how to do this without destroying the parts, so I think I will go like this with the wing upwards. But like this, I think I will add the glue here, add the activator, and go to the next level. So let's just add the glue. Add the activator. We'll just add the activator on the other side. Okay, so I think the first part is in place. Now we can go to the next level. Okay, so now that we have that part, I will add glue here and merge these parts together, and then finish the entire wing. And then we can flip it and add the activator on the other side. I'm not sure if I can flip it. Okay, so now we have half of the plane more or less glued together. We have one wing. I will leave this last part for the end, because this is very easy to add, and also the controls. So now we have to see how to add the other side of the wings. I had to fill these gaps with a little bit more of super glue, and as you can see, this looks a little bit ugly, but we will use some sandpaper and clean this out. Maybe I will also paint the entire plane with one color, but adding paint will add a little bit extra weight to the plane. But right now I'm feeling that it's not that heavy. I thought it would be a little bit more, but it feels kind of light. And yes, we will see how this will end up. Let's add the other side of the wing. Actually, I decided to just catch it in my lap, so in this way this wing will go downwards. So now we can start gluing the other ones, just as we did in case with this first one. Okay guys, so there you have it. We have both wings glued in place, and it feels very strong, and also it is a little bit elastic, and that actually it is good because we want to have a little bit of elasticity in the wings. We don't have it, we don't want it to be too brittle. So as you can see, it can wobble a little bit. So not that we have everything for the wings in place. We will add the motor mounts. So here is where we will place the brushless motor with some screws from behind. So now let's add just a few of the barbecue wood sticks and glue this in place on each side. So that's what I will do next. Okay, so for this part I'll use first this long one. This will be here on the top side, this long barbecue wood stick, and then some short ones, because this is not going till the other side of the tail, but this one yes. So let me just place it here like that. Okay, so now we add the glue and we'll glue it in place. Okay, so now I have the motor mount in place. So this is where I will place the brushless motor. So now I'll add a little bit of glue and place this ring here. Okay, so I add a little bit of glue. Nicely place the ring. Okay, now that it's centered. Okay, so till now we have the center, we have the wings, the motor mounts, and I will add now this tip of the wing. Okay, so for the tail we have the back side of the tail and the middle or front part of the tail with these tubes here. So first I'll make this one, and once we have this entire back part of the tail, we'll merge it with this one and then with the entire plane, and hopefully we won't have any problem and the entire plane will be ready. Okay, so now I have the entire back of tail glued together, and I think the next part that I will do is join these parts together, then join these parts together with the end part of the tail, and I will finally add the controls, the rudders and the elevators. Okay guys, now I have the middle part of the tail, so all I have to do is to glue this here and then add the final part of the tail, and once we have the entire plane, I will add the controls, the ailerons, the elevator and the rudder, and then we'll add the servos and the electronics. So, okay, so first I add this small part of wood here, I add the glue and then I stick this here like this. And that's it. Okay, now I have the entire tail, but now this is a tricky part because I have to connect this here, add glue on this side and on the other side at the same time. But I think that I will glue this first and then just split this apart, add glue and glue that after. So let me just, I'm not sure how to do this, maybe place it like this. Now all the parts are glued together. I've also added some magnets here so we can close this very easy like this. So it will stick in place here with the magnets. Anyway, now all I have to do is to add the controls, the ailerons, the rudder and the elevator, and then we flip it and add the servos. Okay, so the next part is to add this aileron, this control part, and for that, as you can see in the part, we have some slots here, a hole, and another one here on the wing, and you will use these plastic hinges, and these are very cheap. I bought, I think, for around $2, 20 of these. And as you can see, I cut one to size because it is a little bit longer that I need, so you can just cut it. It's very easy to cut and then just place it here. So let me just place this small one. Okay, so now we have some plastic hinges that are very resistant. Let me just try to add it right now. Okay, so there you go. Now it's inside and it could move. And I think I should pass a little bit some sandpaper here because it's touching the plastic part of the wing. So there you have it guys, all the parts are glued in place. We have the two ailerons for the wings, and here on the back we have the elevator and the rudders. Let me just make a zoom in. So here I have one of the ailerons. As you can see, it moves freely, but once we add the servo, it will be exactly on the line of the wing, and the servo would push it up and down, and by that we can control the pitch, no, the roll of the plane. This plane is so big it can barely fit on my table. Anyway, we have the rudders. As you can see, it can move left and right. And I'm not sure if I will control each one with a different servo, or maybe add a metal bar in between and control just one, and this will move the other one. And then we have the elevator, which will go up and down, and I will control this only with one servo. And remember, we have here two holes for each side, and we can place a metal rod that will go till here, and now we have to place some plastic hooks, and to these hooks we can control the servo so we can move it. So guys, as you can see, the plane is huge. It can barely fit on this table. I think the banana will help you, banana for scale. And let me just, before we add the motors, let me just check for the center of gravity, and I hope it will be quite okay, but I've lifted the plane and it seems a little bit tail heavy, so I'm not sure, maybe fitting the battery inside will help. Okay, so here I have some battery for this test. I will use 4S batteries, and I have a big one, this will give you more time, and a small one in case that the plane will wait too much, but this will give you maybe just 10 or 20 minutes of flight time. Anyway, in order to check the center of gravity, it should be right here more or less in the middle of the wing. You should place your fingers here below, and it should be quite steady. If it is very heavy on the tail, you should place the battery more to the front. If it's not very heavy on the tail, you should place it back. So let me just place the battery in. We go there. Now let me just check for the center of gravity. Now it's still heavy on the tail. I think it should go there. And that's, whoa, it's quite steady. So as you can see, by placing the battery a little bit more on the front, it will be more stable. So yeah, this is pretty good actually. Okay, we can make more measurements in order to get more precise, but by moving the battery should be okay. Now we'll place a sponge inside so it will keep the battery in place. Okay, so for the electronics, first of all, we need two brushless motors like this one. I already mounted one here inside, and all you need for that are some screws. You pass the wires and screw it in place. But make sure that you have one that will spin clockwise and the other one counterclockwise, and this screw for the propeller will also close in that direction, because in this way you can spin this motor in one direction and this one in the opposite direction. So the force from this one will be opposite to the other one, so in this way the plane will be more stable, because if both motors will spin in the same direction, you will see that it will create some torque to the right or to the left depending on the spinning direction of the motors. So we need two brushless motors. To control these motors we need two ESCs. These are 20 amps ESC, but we don't need more than that. And also of course the battery. To make the controls for the ailerons and the rudder and the elevator, we need 4 servos. I'm using the 9G, the 9 grams servo motor, and also some screws to fit everything inside. And the most important part is the radio transmitter and receiver. This has to be a PWM receiver because we will connect the servos directly to the receiver. And if not, you could use a microcontroller and maybe map the values from the receiving signal from the radio transmitter. And you could also use the Arduino based radio transmitter if you want. So that's all that we need. So I'll place the motors here and the servos, the battery inside with the receiver, and make the connections, and then the plane will be ready. Okay, to add the controls for the wings, I first added a long wire for the servo, and I also cut the part that's sticking out from the servo motor. As you can see, this one has some kind of a hook here and this one won't, so you can just sandpaper it. And then we'll make a small hole here in the plastic and pass the wire till the middle of the plane, because now we have a tube here that will go till here and then here. And that's it. We can stick this motor here, and this will control the movement of the aileron. So there you have it. The servo motor is in place, and we have this wire, this thin wire, as you can see, passing through here and is going in the middle of the plane. And next we will add the ESCs. Okay, so now I have the servos in place. I have not glued them yet because till I don't have the bar for the controls, I won't stick them here. So I'll place some hot glue here so they won't move. But anyway, now I'll do the same thing but for the ESCs. As you can see, I've soldered and I've connected a long wire for the power supply for the ESC, and it will have bullet connectors, so we could connect these 3 to the motor, to the brushless motor. And I've also connected some long thin wires for the control with 5 volts, ground and signal. So now I'll place this inside, maybe glue it with some hot glue and pass the wires through the hole in the middle of the plane. Also remember that we have to join these 2 wires together from each ESC and add a connector, a T connector or a bullet connector for the LiPo battery. Okay, now both ESCs are in place, connected to the motor. This is the left one and the right one. And then the supply power is connected to a same input connector. And this is a T connector for the LiPo battery. So let me just connect it. So we hear the music from the ESCs. And then I've connected the radio receiver channel 3, which is a throttle, connected to the brushless motor. So let me just increase throttle. So as you can see, if I increase throttle, both motors will spin, and remember, one is clockwise and the other one will spin counterclockwise. Okay, let's just see this one more time from the front side. So there you have it, we can now control the motors, and now let's flip it and watch how I've connected the servo motors for the wing. Okay, so here we have the control for one aileron, but remember, before you connect the servo motor to the control, remember to connect the battery and also the radio receiver, and make sure that the transmitter is also powered on so that the motor will be in the middle position. Then using a metal rod or a metal wire, as you can see here, I've connected the force from the servo motor to the control using one of these plastic hooks, and this is also 3D printed. So all we have to do is to super glue this here and then transfer the power to the force to the control. And as you can see, when I move it with my radio receiver, it will move it up and down, and by that we control the roll of the plane. Just wanted to show you that when one is going upwards, the other one is going downwards. And that's because in order to roll the plane, well, one must push the air upwards and the other one downwards. So as you can see, that's the control for the ailerons and the motor. Oh, and one more thing is to use the trim button of your radio transmitter and push it till you can see that the ailerons are just in the line, exactly in the line with the wings. So let me just push it upwards. I think there. Okay, perfect. Okay, the final control we should add is the control for the rudder and the elevator, but I won't do this right now, and this is why. First of all, since I won't be able to test it, well, I won't rush it. And also I've ordered a few rods a few of these rods that are a little bit longer, so they should get from here up to here. Let me just show you. If I insert this here, as you can see, this will be able to go till here, and here we'll have this plastic support for the servo motors. So we place the servo motors like this in here, and this will control the rods that will control the rudder and the elevator. But since of the coronavirus, I haven't received those rods, which are a little bit longer and also a little bit harder, are made out of metal, specially designed for RC control. So I will wait for that. And after all, I can't test it right now because I can't go outside. So for now, I think I will leave it like this, only with the control for the ailerons and the brush motors. But don't worry, we'll have an update video where I will show you everything about this plane. Also place this here and the support inside, and maybe even paint it and give it a better look. This is the part, this is also 3D printed. This is the part that will support the servo motors inside. Let me just show you how this will go. We will fit this in like that. It has the exact shape of the support of the plane. We glue that in place, and then let me just take one wire. As you can see, we pass the wire of the servo, we place this inside, and this will fit right like this inside, and then we connect the metal rod that will go to the tail. Okay guys, I think that's it for today. Hopefully in a future update we'll also add the controls for the elevator and the rudders, and maybe I will be able to go outside and test it. But till now we have the controls for the ailerons and for the brushless motors, and we'll also add the propellers, but it's not safe to add the propellers inside. And in the next video I'll add the controls and maybe also paint it, but I'm not sure because that will add more weight to the plane. Also, we tested the center of gravity and it's quite good. Using the battery we can change that. So for now the plane is quite good. If you want to test this plane, feel free to download it from my shop, but don't worry, I'm selling it for free. For now, all you have to do is to make an account and download it. And in the future, the improved version, I will maybe sell it for, I don't know, $4 to $5, because this was a lot of work. As you know, I'm not a professional 3D editor, so this was a lot of work for me. And since I can't test it, I can't assure you that it will work. Well, I can't sell it for money right now, so it will be for free. And if you want to test it, if you want all the parts, you can also get in contact with me and I will send it to you. And if you are able to print it and also test it because you are living in a rural area maybe, if you test it and you send me a video, I will include it on my YouTube channel. So guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you like it and that you have learned something new and also understand how much work is into designing this 3D printable plane. And see you in the next video. Keep up, you guys.